Did you know Darth Vader's suit was essentially a prison of pain, specifically designed to keep him on the edge of rage? Today, we're breaking down every facet of that dark armor, from its life-sustaining systems to the hidden torment sewn into every wire. We'll see how it kept him alive while keeping him under Palpatine's control. Ready to learn the horror and brilliance of Vader's transformation? Let's jump right in. Let's begin with Anakin Skywalker's fiery end, or Darth Vader's beginning on Mustafar. After that fateful leap left him broken on a lava shore, Obi-Wan walked away, leaving Anakin limbless, scorched, and barely recognizable. By all rights, that should have been the end, but Palpatine arrived with medical droids and a cunning plan. Seeing more than raw hatred in that battered husk, he saw his greatest weapon. Anakin didn't just lose 3 limbs that day, he sustained horrific burns across his body, with catastrophic nerve damage even in areas untouched by flames thanks to heat and toxic fumes. Ironically, the dark side thrives on pain and despair, so rather than providing the best medical treatment available, Palpatine placed him in a primitive, uncomfortable system, the beginning of Vader's mechanical prison. In Revenge of the Sith, we see Palpatine kneel by Anakin's burning remains, his mind already at work. He draws on the dark side to keep Anakin alive just long enough for medics to seal him into a pressurized capsule. The process was so rushed it happened in an Imperial facility still under construction. Palpatine's body language shows both triumph and urgency. He won't lose his prize. Inside that facility, Palpatine ordered advanced procedures but crucially withheld cutting-edge prosthetic technology. The result was clunky cybernetics offering nowhere near the elegance of Luke's later prosthetic hand or General Grievous's exoskeleton. By ensuring constant discomfort, Palpatine guaranteed Vader wouldn't forget his failures. He would exist with Mustafar etched into his burned nerves. This was the final blow to Anakin's pride. The Chosen One, once the galaxy's brightest star, became a scarred test subject, barely able to breathe independently. As a legend source captured, the new Sith could never take his place at my side if his anger cooled. Palpatine wanted him enraged, tethered to the dark side. Vader's Force connection changed dramatically. His potential diminished because the Force flows most effectively through living tissue, not synthetic replacements, but this forced him to become more brutal, innovative, and entrenched in hatred. The body was weaker, but the anger stronger. Mustafar didn't just destroy Anakin's physical form, it destroyed any trace of the Jedi. That's precisely what Palpatine wanted, an enraged enforcer. Let's walk through Vader's iconic armor, that black silhouette symbolizing fear. Beneath the menacing exterior lies a matrix of cybernetic implants, medical machinery, and survival gear keeping him alive and lethal. The cybernetics replaced lost limbs with mechanical components feeding into his torso. These artificial limbs were intentionally heavier and less refined than available prosthetics. Compare them to Luke's compact, lifelike hand, Vader's were bulky, prone to friction, with inflexible joints and minimal mechanical feedback. Every movement reminded him he was more machine than man. The armor plating layered over these cybernetics looks like polished obsidian, but is actually specialized durasteel alloy. It's somewhat lightsaber resistant, but not invulnerable. Behind the chest plate, complex support frames connect to the respirator. This chest computer doesn't just monitor vitals, it actively regulates breathing, heart rate, and neurological impulses. It's a walking life support system. The mask and helmet contain sensor arrays feeding into the suit's HUD. Tinted lenses filter harmful light wavelengths, and the faceplate contains an integrated rebreather. That chilling mechanical exhale is the suit pushing oxygen through specialized filters. There's also pressurization. Vader can survive space briefly in that armor. However, the mask imposes narrow peripheral vision, forcing reliance on the Force to sense threats. This design flaw was never corrected, likely by Palpatine's order. The mask also lacks advanced audio dampeners, creating vulnerability to sonic attacks. The bodysuit underneath isn't just intimidating, it's flame retardant and temperature insulated. Tiny needles deliver nutrients, painkillers, or drugs directly into his system. But Palpatine withheld advanced analgesics, so Vader never got true relief. The system runs on an internal power cell with surprisingly short operational capacity during heavy combat, forcing Vader to adopt a methodical fighting style, making him even more terrifying through required efficiency. Those iconic belt boxes manage respiration cycles, regulate temperature, and control diagnostics. If damaged, Vader experiences immediate distress. The design synergizes life support with intimidation, ensuring he can't survive, physically or psychologically, without it. Additional design elements deserve attention. The cape wasn't merely aesthetic. It was crafted from armor weave, a blaster-resistant material that could deflect glancing shots and provide minimal protection in combat. The shoulder armor, those distinctive curved pauldrons, housed additional sensor packages and communication arrays. They connected directly to Imperial command frequencies, ensuring Vader could coordinate military operations even while engaged in battle. The suit's weight distribution was another calculated cruelty. At nearly 300 pounds, the armor was deliberately unbalanced with more weight in the upper torso. This forced Vader to constantly engage his core muscles and cybernetic stabilizers just to remain upright. A normal human would collapse under such strain, but Vader's enhanced strength and dark side focus allowed him to bear it, though never comfortably. Perhaps most insidious were the neural interfaces. These connected directly to Vader's nervous system through invasive spinal taps. While they allowed him to control his mechanical limbs, they also created a feedback loop of sensation. Every servo motor strain, every joint's resistance, every system diagnostic was translated into neural impulses. Vader didn't just wear the suit, he felt it as an extension of his mutilated body. When components malfunctioned or required maintenance, he experienced it as physical distress. The entire ensemble transformed movement into a deliberate act. Where Anakin once moved with fluid grace, Vader had to consciously command each step, each gesture. This mechanical precision became part of his terrifying presence. That slow, measured advance that announced his arrival before his victims even saw him. The suit's hidden intent was pain. For a Sith, pain fuels anger, and anger fuels the dark side. For Palpatine, a constantly tormented apprentice is an obedient apprentice. From the start, Vader received second-rate joint servo motors, Spartan nerve interface implants, and an outdated respirator forcing unnaturally rigid breathing patterns. No sleek technology for the Emperor's second-in-command, just parts designed to chafe and pinch. Marvel's Darth Vader comics confirm he endures continuous pain without respite. The chest plate weighs heavily, straining organic tissue. Wires and prosthetics send constant jolts. Even nutrient injections sting damaged tissue. In his meditation chamber, he's often trying to quell nerve feedback, but the suit never stops hurting. The breathing apparatus chains him to a machine preventing natural breath. His deep, labored voice comes through a built-in vocabulator. Damaged vocal cords can't produce normal speech. That distortion constantly reminds him he's no longer Anakin with a vibrant human voice, but a monstrous figure whose every word emerges as a growl. The inner lining caused skin abrasions and pressure sores. Friction could cause bleeding with abrupt movement. Medical patches offered mild relief, but never comfort. Palpatine wanted him on edge. Physical pain fed mental anguish. Vader's injuries prevented his former acrobatics, forcing adaptation to heavier, brutal lightsaber combat. Form V's Gem-So variant. He remained lethal, but would never move as swiftly. This realization hurt more than phantom limb pain, fueling his rage. Vader himself said in Marvel Comics, "I do not want comfort, I want the pain to drive me." Pain was his teacher, constantly reminding him to hate himself, his enemies, and the Jedi. The suit made Vader more powerful in the dark side by ensuring he never forgot his trauma. Why would Palpatine do this? Constant suffering prevented emotional clarity to question his master. He'd focus on managing torment, venting rage through violence, exactly where Palpatine wanted him. The medical systems themselves were instruments of torture. The suit's internal temperature regulation was deliberately imperfect. Vader alternated between feeling too hot and too cold, never finding equilibrium. The cooling systems would fail during intense combat, leaving him overheated and gasping. In colder environments, the heating elements would lag, causing his damaged nerve endings to scream with phantom frostbite. Even more cruel was the sleep deprivation built into the design. The suit's life support couldn't fully function while Vader slept normally. Instead, he endured a twilight state of semi-consciousness in his meditation chamber, never achieving true rest. This chronic exhaustion amplified his irritability and shortened his already legendary temper. When we see Vader force choking incompetent officers, remember he hasn't had a good night's sleep in decades. The maintenance procedures were agonizing ordeals. Every few days, technicians had to access the suit's internal components, which meant disconnecting and reconnecting neural interfaces. Each disconnection sent waves of phantom pain through Vader's nervous system. The reconnection process was even worse, like having limbs reattached without anesthetic. Palpatine ensured these procedures happened frequently, ostensibly for optimal performance, but really to remind Vader of his dependence. Most diabolic was how the suit interfaced with the Force. The constant pain created a feedback loop with dark side energy. The more Vader suffered, the more he could channel that suffering into raw power. But this came at a cost. Peaceful meditation, the cornerstone of Jedi training, became impossible. Vader could only access the Force through rage, ensuring he'd never find the clarity to break free from his master's influence. The Emperor engineered social and emotional isolation through his armor. Vader became a recluse, appearing only as the Emperor's enforcer. No one saw Anakin Skywalker. Officially, he died on Mustafar like the Jedi Order. Isolation meant no personal connections. Padme was gone, Obi-Wan abandoned him, Ahsoka was hiding. The suit reinforced this as a literal barrier. He couldn't remove it without risking death, except in pressurized chambers or bacta tanks, making casual interaction impossible. This served Palpatine perfectly. A lonely, anguished enforcer is easier to manipulate. By limiting autonomy, requiring constant maintenance from the Imperial network, Palpatine ensured dependence on the Empire for survival. Imperial officers like Monty, Tog, or Tarkin feared him but didn't connect with him. Vader was a force of nature, not a colleague. The Emperor ruled through fear. Vader exemplified this while being ruled by fear of losing what little life remained. Communication was restricted to that booming mechanical voice. No one saw facial expressions or heard natural sounds except through suit distortions. This dehumanization was another layer erasing Anakin, enthroning Darth Vader as the Emperor's fist. The suit's vulnerability to Force lightning was likely deliberate. If Vader betrayed his master, Palpatine's signature weapon could short-circuit life support systems. We see this lethality in Return of the Jedi when lightning ravages Vader's armor, contributing to his death. The Emperor engineered a perfect trap, strong enough to serve, weak enough to control. All this isolation, physical, emotional, social, ensured Vader's only solace was the dark side. The suit was a coffin, and the Emperor held the key. Vader turned these limitations into advantages. More machine now than man, Obi-Wan said. But that machine nature gave new strengths. His physical strength was incredible. Robotic limbs delivered crushing force, casually lifting soldiers, throwing people like dolls. Servo motors had torque to smash durasteel or tear through bulkheads, especially when dark side fueled. Endurance let him fight long after organic beings would collapse. Limited healing systems kept him alive through killing injuries. In drawn-out battles, Vader could outlast many foes, as seen in Rogue One's unstoppable corridor assault. Lightsaber combat adaptation transformed flashy Anakin into a deliberate juggernaut. He lost fluid mobility, but gained strategic advantage. Opponents expecting Jedi agility faced a towering powerhouse. Vader embraced lethal economy of motion with heavy, precise strikes, forcing immediate defensive stances. He amplified dark side connection. Torment became a wellspring of power. Marvel Comics show painful memories of Palpatine's mockery channeling into explosive force attacks, crushing starship hulls, choking squads, flinging heavy objects effortlessly. The suit limited raw potential, but anger compensated. The psychological advantage of his presence was immense. That towering black figure with hissing respirator immediately broke composure. Fear as a weapon ended fights before they started, the Empire's strategy for maintaining order. Even weaknesses like restricted vision sharpened Force awareness. Deprived of peripheral sight, he became hypersensitive to Force presences. The suit's clumsiness forced cunning relentlessness. Palpatine's design partially backfired. Constant torment made Vader stronger in the dark side. Vader made minor modifications, tweaked lenses, improved servo motors slightly, but never overcame all flaws. Part of him embraced them, believing they served his anger. I do not want comfort, I want the pain to drive me. These limitations shaped the fearsome Darth Vader, unstoppable, relentless, rage-driven. The promising Jedi Knight reborn as a methodical enforcer using brute force, fear, and dark side power. His suit was a prison that became a fortress, encasing pain and turning it into power. There you have it, the grim reality of Darth Vader's suit, a torturous device ensuring dependence, agony, and obedience. From losing everything on Mustafar to sacrificing himself for his son, that armor was both life support and relentless suffering tool. It held him together while breaking him down. The Emperor manipulated every angle, outdated cybernetics demanding constant upkeep, fear-inducing design, forced isolation behind the mask, and the cruel fact that Vader could never escape his pain. Yet, in those limitations, Vader found power. The Empire's unstoppable dreadnought was born from tragedy, molded by fury. It's a brutal reminder of how the dark side, feeding on pain, twists identity. Vader's suit wasn't just a costume, it symbolized everything lost and everything he'd become. That's the real horror and brilliance, a fallen hero kept alive by torment, forging one of the galaxy's most iconic villains. That's why we remain fascinated by Darth Vader, his pain, mask, unstoppable presence. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more Star Wars lore explained, hit subscribe. Let's keep exploring the galaxy, one story at a time. May the Force be with you, unless you're facing Vader. Okay,